So, as I said yesterday, today I'm going to talk about another interview, this time by MovieWeb, because yes, apparently it is interview season for the Arcane creators. And one thing I realized while watching these interviews is that each one of them is like a puzzle piece, where the creators reveal new information in one interview which connects really well with something which was revealed in another interview. For example, Christian Linke was talking about how they are investing into people rather than projects because through them, projects come out organically, right? And in another interview, he talked about how they are still in that phase, kind of, and he's not going to commit on revealing anything about future projects because no matter what he says, it is going to be set in stone and engraved on their graves. So the question is very simple. Are there any thoughts about expanding, going further, or doing something else? Each of the creators had something to say, and Christian Linke opens up by saying that he knows many people have questions about certain characters from Arcane, and he'll see if those questions will bring a bigger follow-up down the road. They've been with those characters for a long time, lives go on, and so they'll have to think about that, for sure. What that means to me is that maybe in the future we'll see a project with some of these characters many people have questions about. Then Amanda Overton goes on to say that you need to know a lot about what's happening off screen in order to write about what's happening on screen, right? And she gives us an example, Vi's time in prison. Obviously in Arcane we do not see any of that. We can only imagine. If you go on to read the Council archives, then you can have an idea of what was happening during that time. Later on, she mentions the story between Silco and Vander and how they thought about all of that before bringing some scenes on the screen in the final version of the product. And besides these two examples, she mentions that they did the same for other interactions between characters or other scenes. Honestly, this makes a lot of sense, and it's not the first time I hear about this. Writing a lot more than people can see on screen. Amanda Overton mentioned this idea in the past in another interview, whenever she was talking about wanting to write a book about Victor. You probably did not expect that. Either way, she mentioned how they thought about Victor's parents, who he was in Zone, and she would like to write a book about that. Now, personally, is something I mentioned a lot in the past, I would like a book about the 7-year time skip. Christian Linke mentioned how he would like to see a story where Echo builds the firelights, so who knows, maybe it can happen. And if not that, maybe in the future they are going to release all of these storylines they wrote in order to write what we can see on screen. Finally, Barthelemy Maunoury, the animation director, mentions how he just wants to let it rest before doing anything else. He then talks about the world of Runeterra and how vast it is. There is so much to do, he would much rather focus on something else, at least for now. Personally, I really hope he has some knowledge about what project they are working on next, because this answer gives the idea that they are moving away from Piltover and Zone, and I'm all for it. I know many people who watched Arcane do not care about other characters besides their favorite characters, but realistically it doesn't matter because the story has to progress, and by being static it's not gonna happen. Now obviously you can be mad, you can type a comment attacking me or saying that no, a storyline from Piltover and Zone with let's say Caitlyn and Vi makes a lot of sense to be on screen in an animated TV show. If I wanted for people to hear what they want to hear, because that's more profitable or whatever they say, I would have simply agreed, yeah, a show with Caitlyn and Vi makes a lot of sense. But I'm not that kind of person. I say what I think, and I believe it would make a lot more sense for the creators to push for the big storyline into animation, because animation takes a long time and it costs a lot. Piltover and Zone do not matter as much in the grand scheme of things. As I said, if you want to disagree, there is the comment section or the Twitch chat, because yes, whenever you are seeing this video, I'm live on Twitch. I think. Depends on whenever you are seeing it.